Peyton, we talked to the other guys about there are a lot of quarterbacks out there who have great arms, they can run, but there's something different between being a quarterback that does all that and a quarterback that wins and is successful. What do you think are the key elements for a great quarterback?
Well, there's different ways to win, but ultimately, as a quarterback, Bob, I think you have to be a field general. You have to be in charge of everything going on out there on that field when the offense is on the field. You have to know your job from top to bottom, but you have to know everybody else's assignments, what the receivers are supposed to do, the running backs, the linemen, who to protect. And that was kind of where I really took a lot of pride in, on the cerebral part and the mental part, because I knew I couldn't outrun anybody. I couldn't throw it through, double coverage or throw it 65, 70 yards past everybody. I really wanted to know where that defense was going to be before the snap happened. So the more I could learn the mental side, the cerebral side, I really took a lot of pride in that. And I think all the quarterbacks here have had that same appreciation that it's more than just about the physical part of the game. You better be into the mental side if you want to last as a quarterback in the SEC, and especially if you want to last as a quarterback here at Tennessee.
But there's also an element of respect. You've got to get your teammates respect so they'll play for you.
No question. As a quarterback, if your teammates don't respect you, and ultimately if your opponents don't respect you, I think it's going to be tough on you. I mean, I think the more that opponent respects you, it's going to give you, you're going to get certain defenses that you might not get if they just say, hey, this guy can't handle the heat, we're going to blitz him all day, he gets nervous, he gets rattled. So I think as a young quarterback, for me, that's the first thing I want to do is earn the respect of my coaches, my teammates, and then my opponents. But your teammates, you want these guys to fight for you. I mean, as a quarterback, let's face it, you've got to have the help of all 10 other guys on offense. You want your defense to battle out there for you. And if you don't show these guys that you're going to be accountable, that you're going to get up from hits, that you're going to start first blaming yourself before we start pointing the fingers at other teammates, and you're going to work hard, you're going to be the first one in the film room, in the weight room, last guy off the practice field. And that was really important for me, Bob, as a freshman, being highly recruited. A lot of people saying, hey, here's this kid, his dad played. I really wanted to earn that respect of my teammates. And I feel I did that throughout my whole freshman year. I got to play a lot earlier than I thought I was going to play. And I really just tried to earn that respect. And boy, it's been a great, valuable lesson for me throughout my career. When I got to be a rookie with the Colts, I took that same approach as a freshman, because it was even bigger then. First round draft choice, who's this guy? I didn't say a word. And I'm sure I've told this story before, but my first game out of UCLA, playing there, they were ranked behind us. We were ranked high. Rose Bowl, Keith Jackson, Bob Greasy broadcasting the game. I'm just kind of happy to be in the stadium that day. I'm listed third or fourth on the depth chart. It's not quite clear where I was, but as we all know, one of the worst things I've seen in college football, Jerry Colquitt gets hurt on the seventh play of the game. He worked so hard, had a great summer camp, and was ready to have a great year. Jerry Colquitt would have had a great senior year in 1994, and it still bothers me to this day he didn't get that chance. He gets hurt. Helton goes in. Coach Foreman comes to me and says, Peyton, you're going to play today. And boy, I didn't think I was nervous, and all the hair on my arms was just sticking straight up. And I can remember, Bob, I've never done this to this day. When I'm in between series, I stretch and throw. I found myself, I was doing high knees up and down the sideline, in between the benches in the stadium. I mean, I'm like, what are you doing? What am I doing? I've never done high knees at any point in my time in football. I remember Bubba Miller just kind of said, hey, just stay behind us, we'll protect you, which made me feel that much better. I was still nervous this could be. So we're getting beat. We're better than them. Our team's just not in a good mood. Colquitt, everybody's been told
Stunned
he's out for the year. Yeah, they know he's out for the year. Todd, at that point, it kind of, it kind of said, I think, as I found out later, hey, I'm going to give you, 4 or 5 weeks, but baseball is coming up, and that's my ticket. I think they kind of had that deal at Rainbow. All of a sudden, that changes right away. So anyway, I go into that huddle, and I said, my dad had told me, he said, son, if you ever get into that huddle with the starters at any point in the season, it's probably going to be in the fourth quarter of a blowout. It's probably going to be in practice, 2-minute drill, whatever. You've got to be the leader and take control. That's your job as quarterback. You're just 18. We had a veteran offensive line, all juniors and seniors, redshirt. Everybody's 21, 22. It doesn't matter, son. Be the leader and take control of that huddle. So I remember old Archie Manning's advice as I'm jogging into that huddle. I said, all right, guys. I got James Stewart in there, Jason Lehman, Jeff Smith, Bubba Miller, Trey Peterson, Kevin Mace, David Horn. I said, all right, guys, I know I'm just a freshman, but I can take us down the field right now, get us a touchdown, get us back in this game. Let's go. Jason Lehman, I'll never forget, grabs me by the shoulder and says, hey, freshman, shut the blank up and call the blank in play. And I said, yes, sir. And, it was really great advice from my dad. I really appreciated him giving me that advice. But, it's a funny story, Bob, but really, I didn't say another word all season after that. I mean, and what he was really saying was, hey, just show me, don't tell me. Hey, we don't want to hear all that. You show me. And, that game was kind of a, 3 plays and out. I didn't get to go. It was kind of first play, I remember, 9-yard gain, first play, great little man off tackle. Can't beat that, All right, let's get a drive going. Second one, ran a dive. I want to say to Mose Phillips, got stuffed. 3rd and 1, still got pretty good, a lot better than 3rd and 10. Classic freshman not being in control. We get up there. UCLA's kind of substituting. They're unsure what's going on. I remember, the linemen are just going, hey, just snap it, snap it. Whereas nowadays I'd go, hey, hold on, we're not set. I'm in charge here. Like I said, being that field general, I remember Kevin Mays went, just snap it. I just kind of went, hut, and we're not set either. We get stuffed, 4th down punt. I didn't go back in after that, but ended up playing 7 games that year. But I'm telling you, that just taught me a valuable lesson about, like you said, earning the respect of these guys, getting up from hits before you can become vocal. The next year, I was able to become more vocal. My 2nd year with the Colts, more vocal, be a more vocal leader after you earn that platform.
Todd Helton in the Mississippi State game kind of gets tweaked a little bit, and then it's you starting here at Neyland Stadium against Washington State, and they had maybe the best defense in the country, didn't they?
They did, and I just hadn't seen a defense like that at that point. I didn't get to play much against Florida that year, didn't play at all against Georgia, and UCLA, Mississippi State couldn't compare. They were number 1 ranked at the time going into that game, and I remember, I really didn't, Coach Fulmer, I really didn't find out I was going to start until Friday of that week. He kind of said it's sort of an open competition, and I remember, the starting quarterback at Tennessee, I hope he still does, there's a seat for him in the meeting room. He sits in the front row, far left seat. That's the quarterback seat. And, all week it was kind of open, we didn't get a sense. So I remember they called me in Friday and said, Peyton, you're going to start. We're going to have some rotation. But I remember sitting in that seat was a big deal, and I got to sit in it for 4 years. But, I also knew I had to go start against this defense. And
well, how fast was that game for you?
Well, yeah, just a whole different level. And I was fast myself. I kind of just, there's a deal to giving a team respect, but also too much respect. I probably just was kind of saying, these guys are faster than anybody ever played. I got to hand off faster, throw faster. I was just up. I never got into a rhythm. I remember the first third down of the game, Bob, kind of first read one open. That's a game where, as a young player, you kind of go, please let that first read be open. Because I'm really not sure who my second read is, but that first read, please be open, please be open. And he wasn't open, and so I kind of panicked and rolled out and threw it. Should have thrown it out of bounds, and I thrown it. And I'm pretty convinced to this day, I had a pretty good angle that the guy intercepted it. He caught it, and it kind of hit the ground. That referee went incomplete, and this is before replay. I just went, thank the Lord. That just would not have been the start I wanted, and didn't turn it over anymore, and hit a couple plays. Ran a big reverse to Nilo for a big play, and I hit Kendrick Jones for a short pass. He kind of broke the pass, but I hung in there, and I've had a ton of games since then. It's what I call now a grinder, and it was ugly, but there are no such thing as ugly wins, because a win's a win. You don't ever take it for granted, and your first win as a starting quarterback at Tennessee, that's one you'll never forget.
End of the '94 season, you ran off 5 straight wins, so that had to give you great confidence winding up your freshman year, didn't it?
No, it really did, and we beat some, had some good conference wins. Bowl win over Virginia Tech. As an 18-year-old kid, surrounded just by a lot of older guys, just fun. And these guys, they took care of me. Bubba, Jeff, little man, Aaron Hayden. They just looked after me, and and so that was a fun night. We beat a good Virginia Tech team. That Frank Beamer was kind of just getting going, and people didn't know how good of a program he was about to establish. And so that was a fun off season where I did have more confidence. I knew I was going to be the starter, wasn't going to be rotating, and had a really good off season of throwing with Joey Kent and Marcus Nash, and really got our timing down. Where 1995, when that first game, we were ready to kind of get rolling.
And I guess most people from that '95 season remember the Alabama game and play one to Joey Kent.
Yeah, I mean, I've played a lot of football, and I have, maybe I want to say maybe 4 times, the first play of the game, throwing a touchdown pass, and you're just not ready for it, and there's no.
Had you set him up? Did you know that was going to be open all week?
No, it was a first. We knew it was going to be the first play. He knew he wanted to throw, but really, we were really kind of calling it, trying to throw it outside to the outside guy for a little 5-yard completion. Hey, on the road in Birmingham, we hadn't won there in a long time. Let's get it to 2nd and 5, right? That's a great, just kind of breathe a little bit, and it just opened up. And I remember Coach Cutcliffe had this expression called "stop your drop," be able to stop your drop. Let's take a 5-step drop, but if something happens and you got to get the ball to him quickly, stop your drop, chop your feet, and get the ball out of your hand. And it was a stop your drop throw that the linebacker kind of, what we call, buzzed out to the outside receiver. I knew I had to get it to Joey quickly before he got to the middle safety, and I did. I made a good throw, and he made that cutback, and it's a great angle, and it was fun to see as he's flying down, and Nash comes from the other side to kind of help him block. And Joey, he almost ran all the way to Huntsville, to his hometown. He ran through the stadium, and like I said, you just kind of not ready for it, and the fans just went crazy, and it was just it was kind of, as they say, it was kind of on from there.
And then you did the bootleg to make it 21-0 in the first half.
Couple of special plays. Now that one was kind of discussed and kind of a secret, a true naked bootleg, Bob. My dad always told me this too, because of course he could run a lot better than I could. He said a true naked bootleg is only effective if you don't tell anybody. Because if you tell those linemen, hey, I'm going to keep it, they just don't block the same. Because why would they come off trying to block for the hole where the running back should be if they know you're going to keep it? But you tell them, hey, block your man, I'm giving it to the running back, we got to get it, it's on you guys. They're going to come out, and the harder they sell out, the more that defense says it's got to be a running play. There is no tip whatsoever. So,
had you rehearsed it or practiced it that week at all?
No, we'd run just the straight running play. We'd run the straight running play because you just don't want anybody to know that it's even in. But Cutcliffe, Coach Fulmer, of course, had to sign off on it. But Coach Cutcliffe, Coach Fulmer, and Coach Sanders, we said if we call two power launch, and Coach Sanders points at you, that means you keep it. And so, nobody else is, it's the same signal. Even if Jay Graham or whoever, Jay Graham was looking at the signal, he'd see 2 power, he thinks I'm getting the ball, and he wouldn't know what that means. And so when I saw it, but if you think about that, Bob, Tennessee, the year before and the year before, 93, had 2 goal line situations where we were down there and didn't get in, turnovers, and ended up being a big difference. So it was kind of sort of that wall to climb. Hey, we're on the goal line again. Who's going to win? Alabama's won the past 2 battles. What are we going to do this time? Can we get over the hump here, or is this going to be a game changer? So I was kind of aware of that. I'd seen the films of those past 2 games, and so it was a very significant play. But when he pointed at me, and you kind of have to, they call it, you got to have ice water in your veins. You got to turn your back, and you got to this guy on the backside is dead free, and if he doesn't bite, he's going to hit you right in the back, and easily could fumble. And so it's just kind of that, and just come on out there. There's a great picture.
And then show your speed.
Yeah, exactly. I can outrun when it's nobody. And but there's a great picture of the referees, kind of looking right at the pile and kind of looking to see. They have no. I'm running right
Yeah.
alongside of them,
Yeah.
which is. I got a good picture in my office of that.
That had to be the biggest early, at least early one in your career, but it had to be ranked right up there as one of the greatest ones you ever had.
Well, no question, because I knew what Alabama meant. I knew what playing in Birmingham meant. My dad had probably the most famous game of his career at Legion Field in Birmingham, playing for Ole Miss, 1969. He ran for 104 yards and threw for 436 yards, which stood forever for an all-time personal yardage. So that was all people looked at me. So I remember seeing your dad play at Legion Field, and so playing there at night. My brother says he remembers when I was running out for warm-ups. He said he's never seen me run faster because I was running out just so much adrenaline and momentum. So it was a big night for Tennessee. For those seniors that had never beaten Alabama, that was a big deal to be a part of a game that gave them such a thrill.
The SEC championship game in '97.
Yeah.
Auburn is putting it to you pretty good, and suddenly the switch comes on. Auburn was leading at the time 20-7. What turned that game around?
Yeah, I mean, really a crazy game. We really, one of those game plans, we felt so good about our plan, and one of those where you just wanted everything to work perfectly, and you felt like it almost should have. That we really saw a lot of things that were right, and boy, this is the look we wanted, and here we have it, and boom, ball tips up, ball fumbles out, and you're just going, that's not supposed to happen, but it did happen. Of course, just the most awesome atmosphere. And the SEC championship, I'm telling you, is like playing in a Super Bowl. It is just a great feel, and we were so excited to be there. Our fans were, and playing Auburn, who had a great defense. Takeo Spikes, Damian Craig was such a outstanding mobile quarterback. But things are you're kind of going, this isn't going right. And it's kind of one of those times, Bob, where you say, guys, maybe it's not going to be our day. And we just hung in there. We just said, hey, it's not going to be that perfect game we talked about, but we are down, but we can still hang in there. Let's just kind of chip away. So that was kind of the resolve, I think, of our senior class. Cutcliffe stayed patient up there. He stayed with the plan. It's a lot of times you say, hey, we got to panic. Let's abandon. Let's go 5 wides and throw it every time. We stayed with some runs. Jamal had some runs. And we just chipped away, and kind of got down to it. And same thing, just kind of down there in the fourth quarter, caught him in a blitz, and threw a little 5-yard quick hitch to Nash, and he broke that tackle. And kind of, Marcus always had that sneaky speed and took it down their sideline, which was one of the all-time plays.
You won it 30-29, and that was a great feeling, a great night.
Yeah, sure was. Coach Fulmer. And I had a special, moment after the game. Cutcliffe, I remember him coming down from the box, I never actually led the band. I mean, the conductor was always below me, actually keeping them in rhythm, but I got to stand up there. But, I got to do it 3 times at Alabama after we beat Vandy in our last game at home, and that day. That probably, may have been one of the coolest times, standing up there. The band, and everybody is part of a championship, fans, band, and so that was a special night in Atlanta, one you'll always remember.
You hold so many records at Tennessee for yardage, but I would guess with you the fact you won 39 games as a starting quarterback is special.
Well, it's certainly rewarding when you work hard during the week. Football, that's the thing about it. At all levels, but you spend all Monday through the entire week, whether you're playing on Friday night, Saturday, or Sunday, thinking about that game at practice. And of course now in pro ball, it's all week and all day, all night. And for a 3-hour game on Sunday that I only get to play half of it, and so when you lose, that's why it does just really just eat you up inside, because it's usually 4 or 5 plays that it came down to, and kind of worked so hard, and this game didn't go right. But when you win, it is so gratifying and it is so rewarding. So to be on, the side of 39 wins and only a handful of losses during my time here, it sure made for a fun 4 years. A huge reason why I stayed for my senior year, to be a part of more wins and more of just the passion and pageantry here of Tennessee football. So just blessed and fortunate to play with great teammates, great coaches, and play with great fans. I mean, to you know, as a between 18 years old and 22 years old to start 45 games in this stadium in front of these fans. I don't care where you went to college, what you did. No one had a better college experience than I did because of what I was, allowed to do, here in Knoxville.
And Peyton, you talk about honors. When you walk in the stadium and see your number up there on the facade, that's got to be a special thrill for you.
Well, it certainly is, and to be up there next to the 4 players, that are in the war, just a special tribute to them. Reggie White, Doug Atkins, special company. Not really, still don't feel like I belong in that category. I really don't. So it's very humbling. But anytime you receive, I guess, what you call an individual honor, any ones that I've won, I've always received them and accepted them on behalf of the team. That I really feel like they're team awards, they're team honors. Players that I played with, Joey Kent, Bubba Miller, Jay Graham, James Littleman Stewart, on down the line, Coach Fulmer, Coach Cutcliffe, just played for great coaches, played for great teammates, and so I really, feel those are team honors and team achievements.
Why did you have such a special bond with David Cutcliffe, and what did he mean to you as a quarterback?
Well, he meant everything to me as a quarterback. He really taught me just parts of the game, at the college level and taught me certain fundamentals and sayings, expressions that I still use to this day. It's kind of been my my dad never coached me. He never was my coach. He helped me on weekends, and my dad and I's philosophies was I had to come to him for help. And I wanted to play football. I wanted to play quarterback. I had to go to him, but I think he was always real cautious about ever coaching me. He'd kind of more answer my questions, but once he saw that I wanted to learn, he helped me. But when I signed with Tennessee, he said, Peyton, he said, Tennessee coaches are going to coach you. I'm going to be there to after the game to tell you that I love you, whether you win or lose, and be there to cheer you on. I mean, we certainly going to talk football and I certainly a lot of advice, but he never meddled with any of the coaches, and I've always thought Cutcliffe and Fulmer appreciated that. But Cutcliffe and I just kind of hit it off on our visit when Coach Fulmer and Coach Cutcliffe and Coach Sanders came to New Orleans for my first in-home visit. He and I just kind of had a bond, and I always thought Coach Fulmer, one of the brilliant things he did was, a lot of times a head coach, when he sees a recruit and an assistant talking, might kind of feel like threatened. Hey, I got to step in here and he just sort of saw that. Whatever. I had some questions for Cutcliffe about Heath, about Todd, about other quarterbacks. I'd kind of done my homework a little bit, and Coach Fulmer just kind of said, just let that happen. Which I thought, all of a sudden he steps in and cuts it off, and maybe it gets awkward or whatnot. And he had no ego about that, and I thought that was one of his best traits, kind of knowing the situation and letting it develop. And we just hit it off. And Cutcliffe was very honest with me. He was very upfront. He didn't blow smoke to me. He said, I'm going to coach you hard. He said, I think I can help you in a lot of ways, and can't guarantee, when you're going to play, how much you're going to play, whatever. But, of course, the fact that he just coached Heath meant a lot. Heath was here on my visit. He had just declared for the draft and was getting ready for the NFL workouts. That was a big deal. I mean, I knew who Heath Schuler was and what a great career he had. And Andy Kelly, I'd seen him win a Sugar Bowl, beat Virginia down there in New Orleans, and so I'd known the quarterbacks that Coach Cutcliffe had developed, and that was exciting for me. And he was the guy that I wanted to play for, and he and I are still the best of friends today. And I still call him for advice, but I do still play with a lot of his sayings and coaching expressions that have helped me throughout my career in the NFL as well.
And of course, you knew Bobby Scott from his days with the Saints, so you had that connection too. But there is that special bond. I mean, playing quarterback at Tennessee special. That's the reason you came here.
There certainly is. And I really didn't have any ties to Tennessee besides my grandmother was born in Humboldt, Tennessee, and Bobby Scott, my dad, were teammates with the Saints. And so, I knew Bobby, Scotty Dog, we call him. And of course, Scotty, great career here at Tennessee. And so, had a connection there, and my dad, it was kind of, I didn't realize they were teammates, but they played against each other in college and were rivals, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and when I was choosing a number, they kind of asked me, and They said, well, 16 and 12 are available. Because I wore 18 in high school, kind of a tribute to my dad, who 18 was his number at Ole Miss, and my brother Cooper wore 18. When I wore number 14, he went to Ole Miss, got hurt, got injured, had to stop playing, so I switched to 18, really in honor of him as well, as a tribute to him. So that was kind of the number I always wanted, but it wasn't available when Deron Jenkins was here, who was a returning starter. So I wanted double digits. Tall, skinny guy like me, I just think looks better in double digits. Eli's the same way. And so they said 16 and 12. And I remember talking to my brother, and I said, what do you think? He just said, just kind of just got to pick one. And he said 12, just a lot of 12s out there. And he said, go with 16, go with 16. And so I picked 16. I remember my dad telling me 16. The Swamp Rat, Dewey Warren, was number 16. And so, I knew football. I knew, more Ole Miss football, history of their great quarterbacks. So my dad kind of went to work on tutoring me on Tennessee football, from Scotty to the Swamp Rat to Bubba Weish, Condredge Holloway, who was a guy that I talked to during my time here. He came back here to Tennessee while I was here, and I'd seen some of his highlights as a player and what a great player he was. Jeff Francis I got to know during my time here. Andy, Heath, Hank Larcella. You've had All-Americans here that played quarterback, maybe, but they're more than single wing. They're listed as tailbacks, on their All-American status. So I've always considered it one of my greatest honors to be the only other All-American quarterback here at Tennessee, along with Bobby Dodd, that he and I, and that's just something kind of cool about that. Once again, I don't know, sure I belong quite in that company, but there's good history going back to him, and so I've always thought that's been pretty neat. So great history of Tennessee quarterback, proud to be a part of the group, and I think it's going forward as well, from T to Casey to Eric Ainge, and just down the road. It's anytime I get a chance to talk to young players and thinking about going to play football, that if you have a chance to come play quarterback at the University of Tennessee, take it and run with it, because there's nothing like it.
Well, you were a valuable member of the club. We thank you for your time
Hey,
today.
Bob,
Peyton,
thanks.
good to see you again.
Appreciate it. You too.
Thanks.